So in today's video we are going to be comparing two very popular concealers, and that is going to be the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer and the Urban Decay Naked Skin Weightless Complete Coverage Concealer. That's seriously a mouthful. But these concealers are both extremely popular. The Nars has been popular ever since it came out a couple years ago now, and this one just launched a few months ago. And ever since, I constantly see people comparing them and people asking which one should I buy, which one's better for me, which one's better for this. Just everybody has a ton of questions about these because they are kind of similar. So I figured since I own both of these and have used both of these kind of at length, I would do a video comparing the two. And I will say these are my two favorite concealers, so this video isn't going to be me being like, buy this one, it's so much better, don't get this one, it sucks, because that obviously wouldn't be fair. So how I'm going to be doing this video is I have split this up into categories, and I'm going to go through the categories like value, application, coverage, things like that, and I'm going to kind of compare the similarities and differences for both of them so you guys can kind of take that info that you need and decide which one is going to be best for your preferences and your needs, because I really like both of these concealers for different reasons, and ultimately it's going to be up to you to decide which one is going to work best for you. And I know if you like post online and you say which one should I get, you're going to get totally like polarizing opinions. So that's what this video is for, just to give you guys some info and kind of help you better decide. And I made some notes on my phone for key points that I don't want to forget to mention, so if I'm looking down at any point in this video, that is why, so I apologize for that. And throughout this video I'm not going to be saying the full names of either of these concealers throughout the entire video, because that would make it way too long, so I'm just going to refer to them as Nars and Urban Decay. So starting off with the actual size and value that you get with each concealer, the Nars one is $35 Canadian. I'll have the US prices listed in the down bar too if you're interested. So yeah, $35 and you get 6 milliliters. Urban Decay is $34, but you get 5 ml of product. So technically the best value would be Nars, since you're only paying $1 for a considerable more amount of product. Another big thing is shade options. With the Nars concealer, you get 10 different shade options versus Urban Decay, there is 8 shade options. And with Nars, the shade options go a little bit lighter and a little bit darker as well, so it kind of extends past the Urban Decay's shade range on both ends. So now for the applicators and packaging, with Nars you get a traditional doe foot applicator, and then with Urban Decay you get a kind of more flat sponge tip applicator. And I find with this one it does hold on to a little bit more product, so you have to be a little bit more careful when you're applying it to make sure you're not overdoing it, because it's really easy to swipe on too much and end up with too much concealer. So you have to pay a little bit more attention when you're applying this, I find. Also, with this style of packaging, typically if you don't end up like sawing it open or like removing the stopper on it at the end, you're going to end up wasting product. This is my first tube of the Urban Decay concealer, so I haven't tested this out with this yet. Because the wand is a little bit more flexible and differently shaped, it might be a little bit easier to get out the remaining product, but like I said, I haven't tested that out yet. With the Nars, I do remove the stopper and saw off the top at the end of each tube, and I find I get an extra month's worth of product after doing that, so definitely something to keep in mind too. That's not a fault of either of these brands, that's the case with any kind of packaging like this. So the next category is the claims and benefits for each product. So with Nars, it's supposed to have kind of a light diffusing, optical blurring kind of finish, so it's meant to instantly blur out any kind of imperfections like dark circles, fine lines, etc. It's also meant to be creaseless when you use it, and it also has what they call a botanical blend that's meant to help hydrate, reduce redness, and also prevent signs of aging on the skin. I couldn't find an ingredient list for this online, so I'm not sure exactly what's in the botanical blend that they use. They also list this product as being paraben-free, sulfate-free, and phthalate-free, and it's also alcohol, fragrance-free, and non-comedogenic, and dermatologist tested as well. So Urban Decay's claims are that it's supposed to be very lightweight and natural looking. It's not meant to settle into fine lines. It also has green tea and peptides in it to help with elasticity and aging as well. And it also has hyaluronic acid to help hydrate the skin and retain moisture in the skin. The only other claim with this is that it's paraben free. I don't see any specific claims about it being like alcohol free or fragrance free like the Nars one, but looking through the ingredients, I couldn't see any alcohol or fragrance in the ingredient list. But they don't make any specific claims about that. So next category is coverage and finish. So with Nars, it is supposed to have a very luminous finish, and it also is supposed to have medium to full coverage, kind of like a buildable kind of coverage. For Urban Decay, they just say high coverage, and it says it has a luminous demi-matte finish, which is kind of interesting. It's definitely less luminous than Nars though. I find it definitely moves more into that natural demi-matte kind of finish category. Moving on to formulation, Nars definitely has a thicker and creamier formula. It's not too thick to be used under the eyes though, and I personally find Nars more hydrating than Urban Decay. I know some people say the opposite, but for me it's definitely more hydrating. I find when I use it under my eyes always look nice and smooth and well hydrated, and I find with the Urban Decay, if I'm not already kind of making sure my under eyes are well hydrated, it can look a little bit dry. I also find Nars sets very quickly on its own, so you have kind of limited time to work with it, but once it's on, it's on. It's not going anywhere all day. And then for Urban Decay, the consistency and formula is a little bit thinner, it's a little bit more liquidy. So I find with this one, it doesn't set as fast on its own. You do have a little bit more time to kind of work with it and blend it out. So now the biggest question I see about these two products, and that is under eye versus blemishes and acne. So for Nars, traditionally speaking, since this concealer does have a more radiant, more luminous finish, it's not going to be the best for breakouts and blemishes. It has definitely like a more highlighting effect, so if you apply it onto a breakout, it can actually draw more attention to the area and kind of do the exact opposite of what you're wanting. Some people do use it to conceal blemishes and they like it for that purpose. Just traditionally speaking, it's not the best use for it. Definitely better for highlighting purposes and under eye area. So for Urban Decay, I think this is better if you're looking for a multitasking concealer because it has that kind of demi-matte finish. It's kind of more suitable to use on both breakouts and under eye. It's not going to draw extra attention to any like blemishes or acne. However, since it is a more demi-matte finish, it's not going to give you that super bright highlighted glowy under eye like the Nars concealer will. Of course, you can always go a shade lighter for your under eye concealer to brighten up a little bit, but it's just not going to have the same effect. It's just going to have a more natural kind of skin-like finish. So to sum up, Nars is technically better if you want an under eye concealer, and Urban Decay would be a better option if you want kind of more bang for your buck and you want to do one concealer for kind of every purpose. The next big thing is creasing, and from working in cosmetics and just trying out concealers on my own, I know that concealers creasing on your under eye is definitely everyone's biggest concern and thing they want to avoid. So for me, for both of these concealers, I really don't have that much issue with either of them creasing. As with any product, if you overdo it and if you're like loading it on, it's going to bunch up and crease under your eyes. So if you pay attention and you make sure you're not applying too much, you shouldn't experience creasing with either one of them. Now for me personally, I always set my under eyes with a powder. If you are someone who has like ultra dry skin or you just don't like setting with powder for whatever reason, I would recommend probably Nars, just because like I said, it does set a little bit faster on its own and it's less likely to crease just wearing this on its own than Urban Decay, I find. And my final category is wear time. So for both of these, I find the wear time really great. I find them pretty much on par with each other. For me, I do have oily skin, and when I apply my concealer, I do it in like a triangle under my eyes, so I end up applying some around my nose, down the bridge of my nose, and also on my forehead as well. And this area right here is definitely where I get the oiliest, and I find after about like 10 hours or so, I can see some like minor separation. It'll start breaking up a little bit, but it's nothing you can't fix by blotting and repowdering quickly. It's nothing too drastic, so 10 hours is pretty good. I think that's kind of the longest time most of us keep our makeup on for, because that's like a school day or a work day, so I think that's pretty much got you covered. And like I said, if you do need your makeup on longer, you can just touch it up and fix that. So if you also have oily skin, that's just something to keep in mind. But if you have like dry to normal skin, theoretically you shouldn't have any issues with these unless they happen to like react weirdly with your skin or any of the other products you're using. So yeah, that kind of wraps up all of the different categories I had for both of these different concealers. I hope you guys found this helpful, and I hope this kind of helped you make your decision if you're debating between the two. I hope now you know which one's going to be better suited for your personal needs. If you have any additional questions that I didn't touch on here, comment down below and let me know. I'll definitely be responding to your guys' comments. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!